Hey, hello everyone. Mostafa Hanafi. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for hosting me again. And today I'll be talking about what does composable DXP mean for delivery managers. So before we get started, I just want to give you a couple of points on why I chose this topic. Right now in the Sitecore community and any digital community actually, everyone is talking about composable and headless and the new trend based on Gartner. And most of the conversations I've been hearing and the discussions happening are about either the technical side of composable DXP or the marketing and strategy side. I found little discussion or literature on the actual implementation or the management of those changes and trends. And this is why I chose this topic after getting some experience internally at Condabos on what it means to actually implement composable projects. And also, I know that even if the audience are not project managers or delivery managers, even technical teams and marketing teams would need to understand how all of this translates into actually doing the projects and how it affects their work and how they can collaborate with delivery managers to actually ensure that these projects at the end are successful. So this is the why. And now let's get started on a couple of definitions. So one is composable DXP. As you guys know, composable DXP is made up of various integrated digital products or services or tools that are linked together. They are usually provided by different vendors. In some cases, you can get a few digital projects or products provided by one vendor. The goal at the end is to deliver seamless customer experiences across omnichannel digital touchpoints. So as you've probably seen this diagram a few times, we are looking at a bunch of, I would say, they call them best of breed, right? Sometimes you do not really get it from the first time that you get the best of everything, but at least you have the flexibility and the choice to go and take the best that works for you, not necessarily the best in the market, but the content management tool that works for you. And then you link that with the right personalization tool that works for your customers and the right analytics tool that works for your management team, right? So you don't have to be stuck in one big monolithic approach where you have to take a package as one, and then you find that you need to take out some of it or not use some of it, and it becomes problematic. Another definition is delivery manager. So this means different things to different people and different teams. This could be a project manager, a program manager. Some organizations have the actual role delivery manager. It could be a C-suite executive. It could be a project sponsor, as we call them. At the end, delivery manager in this discussion is a person or a team who are ultimately responsible for the implementation and the delivery of the product. In this case, the implementation and the successful delivery of a composable DXP. So when we talk about what this means to delivery managers, I'm going to talk about four different aspects or four main things that impact delivery management and as a whole impact the team. Change management, cost management, time management, and team management. These are the four main areas that every delivery manager should be paying attention to so that they understand how projects evolve and how they deal with those projects. So in terms of change management, the first thing that's worth noting is this change or this new trend towards composable DXP is something that is going to happen anyways. Um, it's a matter of in some organizations months, some others years, but it is going to happen. We've seen that in other transformations like cloud, for example. This is something that some people were resisting, some people jumped right on the strain of cloud, but at the end, it is already there. People are forced now to move to cloud in most countries and in most scenarios. So the same thing with composable DXP. It is going to happen. Any enterprise level content management system, any big digital company is going to go that way. So the first thing is really about embracing the change, not seeing it as a challenge or a blocker, but actually seeing it as an opportunity. And this is a big important first step because it changes the mindset of how we look at composable. The second area is evaluating the current state. So I've been thinking of the trying to put the side organizations using Sitecore into different categories and thinking which ones would we actually be able to embrace the change and actually get it done. And usually there are two main categories that make this easier when it comes to companies or enterprises adopting Sitecore. One is an enterprise who is on Sitecore, an older version of Sitecore, and you're looking to upgrade. So let's say from 8 to 10, 9 to 10. I'm hoping very little are still on 7, but unfortunately it's still there. So those organizations, when they are making this change, of course, there are so many things that dictate the change, like running out of support and all of that. But also they do have already the mindset of change. They do understand that it is time to upgrade, even though this might be expensive, but they understand that they need to continue using Sitecore. They have to do an upgrade project, and this is when thinking about composable becomes very critical, since they already have some sort of an engine or a mentality for change. The other ones are second category, or who are up to date. Sitecore or organizations adopting Sitecore are already up to date, and they are looking always for changes. They're looking for developmental changes to get better, using so many different tools like SXA, let's say, or XM. Um, these are the organizations as well that are taking some small steps towards composable, even if they do not really go headless suddenly, or they adopt all of the new Sitecore products, but at least they are up to date. They understand the importance of going composable, and they are taking these steps. So as a Sitecore partner, these are the clients that we usually look for. Of course, we help other clients as well who are still on old Sitecore versions and so on. But the idea is that without this mentality of change, it's really hard to force a whole organization on that. So this is where evaluating the current state, and this is not just the current state of the solution and the technical solution, but actually the state of the organization when it comes to change. And then the last thing is really following a process. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here. As you can see in this diagram, this is a typical change management cycle, and this is what needs to happen here. It's as I said, we've seen transformational changes before. This is not the first one. And in terms of process and steps to take, this is already there. There is lots of discussions and literature about all of this. We do not have to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. We just have to adapt it to our practices and our Sitecore solutions and our Sitecore teams so that we can actually get it done in a systematic way. The second aspect of this is cost management. So, and this is a big question mark for most people now who are even willing to take the next step towards composable. So the C-suite executives would ask, how much is this going to cost us, right? So the first thing really is to gather data and set benchmarks. There isn't one formula that would get an organization right now to go in and in a few minutes calculate how much this would cost them going from monolith to composable. Since it's a new change to most organizations, it's not like cloud nowadays where you can just go in, put the number of users, your seats, and your forecasts, and you can get a sense of if you go from on-prem to cloud, how much it will cost you. When a change becomes, or a technology becomes mature enough, then we can get those stuff. Otherwise, which is our case right now, we have to set benchmarks. We have to actually do comparisons. Without the comparisons of what we have right now and what we will be saving in the future, and the comparison will actually have to be focusing a little bit more on the future than now, because the savings will come in the future. And I'm not saying 10 years, but after a year, 2 or 3 years, this is where you can show actually to the management where the cost savings will happen. The third main thing is being flexible and accepting uncertainty. So without the flexibility, organizations will really fail to convince management of the cost aspect of going composable. The reason is a few things. Mainly, unfortunately, right now we still do not have very clear costing from Sitecore. The existing products, yes, we might have an idea, but when we talk about the new projects and how XM will be implemented with Content Hub and what's going to be the license model, and this becomes a little bit challenging for organizations. This is something that we have been raising in the community, and we're hoping that in the next few months this becomes clearer to us as partners and to the clients as well. But the main thing is that organizations should be going into this knowing that there is a good portion of uncertainty to it, and they have to be flexible to deal with different models of licensing and different models of costing, and going into the composable project, understanding that they would have to adapt quickly to any changes that happen. And this, of course, is not an easy ask from organizations, especially when they already were on Sitecore for years and they're used to a very clear costing structure. But now this becomes a challenge. The third aspect is time. So again, from a top management perspective, what usually happens is they would ask for a study on the cost and the time. So a delivery manager would bring up the idea that we want to go composable. Okay, so let us know how long this will take us and how much it will cost us. So in terms of time, it's really agile time. What I mean by this is if an organization is not already adopting an agile mindset, and they're still working with a waterfall methodology, most probably this will not work. And the reason is, one of the actual benefits of going composable is breaking down a system into a smaller pieces so that you can actually make your team become more agile, meaning that we do not have to have one huge implementation all at once. We can actually start to figure out what makes sense for us to implement first. So we can have a proper product roadmap that has different phases, and I highly encourage composable projects to start with a discovery phase. And then you can break down those phases into releases, and then you can actually practice agile. It doesn't have to be 100%, but at least you are making use of the composable approach, and you are giving something to the team and to your customers to learn from, get the feedback, and go back to the implementation team and actually learn from the feedback and get it done in a better way. So asking about the time is not a fair question for delivery teams for composable projects. We can talk about future time savings, which definitely is something that we've seen. For example, the deployment times for Sitecore, how time effective it is becoming now to do a deployment using XM, for example, or using any cloud offering, really, not just for Sitecore. The development of new features, and the time saving that we get for just developing one component and adding it to a site and actually getting to use it, and of course the time savings that are expected to happen when it comes to upgrades. So what Sitecore is promising is that Sitecore upgrades are not going to be as painful as it is right now and as time consuming, and these should be pretty seamless that the team wouldn't even have to really worry about in the future, right? So there are some things that we've experienced, there are some things that are being promised, but at the end of the day, if the organization is not adopting the agile mindset and making use of composability lean approach, which is already built in the in how it works and the methodology, then it will be hard for them to estimate their time savings and figure out the time management aspect. Finally, team management. As you all know, the skills that would be needed going into a composable approach is going to have to change. So the traditional existing Sitecore skills are not going to work. Some organizations now are too comfortable with Sitecore that they really just have a Sitecore tech lead or an architect, Sitecore developers, a BA, and a PM, and QA, and this is it, right? So a new request comes from business. They just take it, implement it, deploy it, and that's it. For composable, it's going to have to be different. So new roles are emerging, such as CX architect or a customer experience architect, which is someone who really understands the marketing and strategy side, understands the technical side of things, and working with the team to figure out in this new composable approach what makes sense from a product roadmap. We're not now thinking about just new components or an upgrade from one instance to another. We are thinking more into a product roadmap and the future of how we use the system to deliver a new value or new benefits to the customer, and what does this mean in the back end and the implementation and the integrations and all of that. Someone like an enterprise solution architect who can have holistic view of all of the systems. So we're not just talking digital teams or software teams and IT. We need people who actually can link all of those together and make sure that the organization technically is working together. Of course, marketing, content, UX, all of these people working together from the start. And lots of people in the community have been talking about when you go composable, you have to actually start building a team that is multidisciplinary, who can work together from day one, and call them the center of excellence or the composable dream team, whatever it is. But you need to have a selective of people who understand marketing, who understand technology, who understand project management and delivery, and have this team work with the whole organization, include everyone, so that they are ultimately the responsible. And this is one definition of delivery manager as a team who are responsible for delivering this composable approach. The other thing is team culture. I think we spoke about that already, about the mindset, right? So if the culture and the mindset is not risk-taking and into experimenting and flexible, then this will be very, very challenging. This journey of composable will be too bumpy for them. But a team culture needs to be there, where you are taking a risk, you are flexible, you are willing to make mistakes and learn from them. You're willing to get uncomfortable and talk to other departments in the organizations where before they were just siloed and not really discussing the future together. So all of this needs to happen to actually make this journey a little bit easier towards composable. And this is it from me. I'm happy to take any questions if you want.
Mustafa, I think there's something on the chat. I saw one question come through.
Okay. All right, so does running out of Sitecore support mean Sitecore doesn't renew license for the given version as well? Or do they just not provide support as such? They do not provide support. I'm not really an expert in licensing, but I believe you can still remain on an old version of Sitecore and pay for it, but you wouldn't get any support. The other one, it is not tougher to switch vendors for maintaining a project if it is built on many different platforms instead of single Sitecore platform. So there are downsides to composable for sure. One of them is having to handle many vendors, yes. However, the maintenance and support now of those SaaS tools going in this composable approach is becoming much easier than handling one big product. So as an example, companies who are building tools, let's say personalization tools, in this composable approach, they understand that their tools, and this is even how they market them. They market them with Sitecore and content and Optimizely and other platforms or CMSs going headless. They understand that this will fit into a bigger platform. It's not just about this small personalization tool, and they build their product in a way that makes maintenance and support and upgrades really, really easy. The integrations that they have and every functionality is exposed through APIs, and it's really easy to integrate and easy to maintain. So they do understand this and they do build their products in that way, so that organizations do not really have to worry about after 1 year of going composable, going and upgrading 10 different things. It becomes very seamless. So even though, yes, you would have to manage different vendors, I would say the relationship management and the coordination is the challenging part. But from a technical and strategy perspective, what we've seen so far, that it's not really as bad as it sounds. All right, thank you. I think this covers the 2 questions. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for attending and have a great weekend.